We got a question right now from Sarah in New Jersey. She says, "Is there a way to, you know, reduce or improve the levels of insulin naturally? Can anything be done?" So once you have diabetes and your pancreas is not producing insulin at an optimal level, is there a way to turn that around? Is there a way to do something to help pancreas produce more insulin?
There are some medicines that are actually uh, uh, medications designed to actually help your pancreas put out there more insulin in your system. It's by nature, it is sending a signal to the pancreas of, okay, you need to release more insulin.
Ah, okay, got
Yeah,
it.
so they do exist. They're out there, and yes, they are also part of the arsenal for people suffering diabetes. Yes.
Um, are there natural things that you can do or are there natural food or anything in at home that you can do to control diabetes or you know um, slow it down? Is there something that we can do at home? Like, let's say if someone is diagnosed with pre-diabetes, or let's say even let's say pre-diabetes. So what should the person be doing?
Well, to begin with, the most common topic that you would hear from your doctor is, of course, increase your physical activity. You need to physical activity actually burns calories, and glucose in your system actually is the fuel for your cells to operate. So the more fuel you're spending, the less glucose will be circulating in your blood. So physical activity is always a good idea. Um, Limiting the intake of high calorie meals also has a great impact on the amount of glucose that you produce, after you ingest them. And basically, yes, it's always about making some lifestyle changes that
Mhm.
allow you to have better control of it.
Got it, got it. So basically, you're saying ultimately it boils down to how you can improve your life overall in general to control it. But is
So,
there a way to reverse it? Is there a way? Because
well,
a lot of people search about it that, hey, can type 2 diabetes be reversed?
to this point, there may be a chance. Of course, it is a case by case situation. Uh, Prediabetes can be reversed to begin with. If
Mhm.
you're not diabetic, so that means that you can do something to control the amount of glucose in free glucose floating in your system. Once you're diabetic, um, that means that the metabolic disorder has already occurred. There is a chance that may be reversed. There is a better chance that can be effectively controlled, and therefore you can live a more or less normal life. Um, I'm sure that some people, I mean, there are some success stories out there from people who were insulin dependent diabetics. And after observing lifestyle changes, um, feeding um, habits, and staying away from high calorie foods, they have stopped taking insulin altogether. So I don't think, I'm not sure if we can call that cured, because that means that
Mhm.
if they fall back into their old habits, they may develop again. But it may be reversed to a point where you don't need to get insulin to live your life more normally.
Okay. So basically, you control a lot of these factors that are controllable and see if it can improve things, right?
Of course, yeah,
Um,
of course, I would not advise to do that on your own. Always
Makes
check with
sense.
your doctor, of course, but if you can observe those changes, and then under the supervision of your physician, we have seen cases where the physician actually gives a green light for a patient to stop taking, diabetes medications because they seem to be okay.
Oh wow. So got it. Got it. Very, very interesting, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if someone can get to that level, that would be awesome.
Hmm.
Uh, One of the question that was asked when we said, "Hey, so we tried to inform people that, hey, you can actually submit your questions." And one of the questions that was asked was, um, "Is there are there certain kind of food that you should be avoiding completely, certain kind of vegetables or fruits that you should be avoiding when it comes to diabetes?"
Yeah, of course. When you're diabetic, that means that you're prone to absorb more calories or more carbohydrates than usual, or you are prone to actually not being able to put the calories that go into your system. So it is always advisable to not consume any high sugar meals. Speaking of fruits, for example, fructose, yes, there are some sugars that are better than others in terms of health, um, health for health purposes. So fructose, which is the sugar that is present in fruits, yes, I think it's probably the better of them, but not necessarily the best for diabetics. So
Mhm.
yes, you got to make sure that you are going to consume fruits that are not high calorie fruits, not high sugar fruits. So you need to avoid anything that is sweet to in order for you to get a better control of your sugar levels. Yes.
So it's not that if you go all natural, it helps your body. It's basically you have to really look at sugar even in the natural things, right? So, for
Yes.
example, I was told long time ago that, hey, switch from sugar to honey, and that will help you with your blood sugar, blood glucose level, which is not correct, right? Because honey is again sweet.
Yes. Well, it has to do with the complexity of the sugars that you're eating.
Mm.
So there are sugars that are more dangerous, or more sweeteners that are more dangerous than regular sugar. And for example, the problem right nowadays is in this industrialized environment nowadays, there's a lot of processed foods that contain
Mm.
adulterants, sugars that uh, may not be the best suit for you. So we're talking about uh, high fructose syrups that are super sweet.
Mm.
They are not expensive. They give you good flavoring, give you the sweet flavor to it. And who doesn't like sugar? I mean, it's actually sugar. It says there is more addictive than cocaine. There's a study that was published a few years back, and so sugar may be addictive, and the more sugar you get, the more sugar you want. So if you eat high sugar content food, there is a chance that down the road, if you're not careful and you're not active enough, and you have the genetic predisposition to it, you may develop diabetes.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, processed food is very, very dangerous from what I've heard, is because they can hide sugar in different ways that you won't even know. That is one of the
Mhm.
challenge. Processed food, refined sugars, because I believe what they do is, um, the term that you use was very interesting. It's complexity of the sugar that you're consuming. When you
Mhm.
are having refined that white sugar, I read that you basically are making it highly available to your body. That means you consume that white sugar and it just transforms into glucose, floods your body with glucose immediately. Is that correct?
Yeah, the problem with refined sugar, refined anything, it is basically brought down to the basic component of it.
Oh,
So sugar, just refined sugar is just sugar, just a carbohydrate. Versus when you have the sugar cane, the other, the, the 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 brown sugar, when it's not refined, it does contain sugar, yes, indeed, but it also has some minerals in there, some other nutrients that came with the sugar cane juice that it was brought on. So you do get some nutrients out of that one. So if you're going to take sugar, I think it's best if you do it unrefined sugar, brown sugar,
mhm.
if you must. But that doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't give you permission to eat a lot of that, because it's more nutrient laden than just refined sugar.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense.